Ah, look it. I'm being irresponsible today. um, Schedule was being hygienically very good because I am because I was just getting out of the shower, and that's why everything's running late. And then some interesting things to open up with tonight. Um, Even though we're going to talk about Proverbs, we got some stuff to discuss, just some opinions of mine. And since I have this platform, I am going to be able to share some of those opinions, some of those takes. And one of them I was responding to. Let's see if I can find it. Look, Star Wars Outlaws is being advertised on the background of my web browser. Cool. Not interested. So disappointed. Wait, stop. Full stop. Full stop. Welcome to the show. My name is Stuart Davis, flawed man of God, a humble parishioner at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a biblical scholar. I haven't been to seminary. I'm not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. What I'm here to do is talk about God, talk about Jesus, talk about the Holy Spirit, talk about the Bible, talk about Christianity, talk about a wide variety of different topics, issues, and current events, and give you my perspective on them, one that I think is reflective of your average Christian guy. Been a Christian all my life, 41 years, non denominational Protestant. I don't subscribe to any particular doctrine or denomination. I'm just in the word daily, trying to do it better each and every day. Sometimes I'll get it right. Often I'll get it wrong, but no matter what, no matter what, if you're watching this stream, if you're listening to my words, if you hear my voice, you can count on getting my honest takes on whatever it is we're discussing. So if you are someone who is interested in learning more about Christianity, if you are trying to become a Christian, right? You're at that moment where you're like, man, I really missing something in my life. What I've heard about Jesus has got my interest, not just um not just the flight of fancy interest, but like deep in my core interest. And but I need to get off my butt and go out and do something. And so you get to the internet for your motivation. You need the motivation of strangers, perhaps, to tell you, to say, "Hey, look, we're with you. We got you." That's where you're at, or for any reason you are looking to pursue Christ. I'll give you the I will give you the spoiler alert at the beginning. Here is your motivation. I believe in you. I hereby give my endorsement for you to go and and become a Christian. Do it. Do it. I want you to. Lots of the folks in the chat want you to. We all want you to be saved. We're all going to be excited to hear, or if we don't hear, but just be excited with the premise that you could be becoming uh, a new believer, and we would love that. So go out and do it. Go out and do it, or go out and do it and stick around. Maybe listen to this while you're in your car. Don't watch it, not while you're driving. But listen to this while you're traveling to the nearest church. It's a little late, probably closed, but um um stick around and maybe hang out with us for a bit. Maybe get a little bit of taste of what it's like for Christians to get together and um discuss faith. It's a very relaxed stream. This is very informal. It's very amateur hour. It's very pro laity because that's pretty much all who shows up. I have guests sometimes that are preachers and pastors and whatever, but it's mostly just us, the congregants, getting together and discussing our impressions on things. And I think you might enjoy that. And if you're already a Christian and you just enjoy Christian topics and discussions, you're obviously welcome as well, because we run this very similar to a Wednesday night study group or a Sunday school. It's all about that small group community right now. We are a small group. We are a small group. And we get together and we have this time to enjoy. So, sorry, something else was going on. We have this time together to discuss. It's great. Got folks in the chat who I advise all of y'all to join in. Folks in the be part of the chat. We folks chat. We come in. Sometimes we lay our problems down on the table. Sometimes we bring our joys, our praises. Sometimes we ask for prayers. Sometimes we're humble. Sometimes we're goofy. A lot of times we're goofy. But it would be great to have you in the chat. And being in the chat's easy. You just gotta talk. We got a great, like I said, great group of folks. They tune in and night out, and they are just as much part of the show as me. I am the most regular attendee, obviously, because without me, there is no show here, because I press the start button and the end button. I have perfect attendance on these streams. Nobody else does. I get a star by that. And because I got perfect attendance, I get the host. But yeah, get in the chat. If you put something in the chat, I will read it and respond to it. So tell me, what do you agree with or disagree with? What about you? Where do you think I'm right? Where do you think I'm wrong? What unique insight, perspective, experience do you have in life that you want to share, that you think will be interesting to add to the conversation? Or maybe you just want to add on to something somebody else said. Maybe you just want to goof on the host. That's all fine. That's all great. Share your opinion. Ask questions. I might not have the answer to you. For you. In fact, I'll tell you, there's a likelihood that I won't have an answer for you. But we'll talk about it, and maybe we can point you in the right direction. Or maybe somebody in the chat will know. And there you have it. There you have it. Welcome to the show, everybody, where the host is his own problem. Look, there is a guy. There is a guy, and he's not unusual. Well, he's not unique in his behavior on the internet. This is why I tell you there's a lot of confusing information out there in the social medias. So this gentleman, we don't need to talk about his name. If you want to, if you want, he creates content where basically anybody who believes in organized religion, organized Christianity, denominational theology and everything, the Bible is an abuser. And this is the cry bully mentality. Right? This is somebody who wants to be a victim or appear to be a victim in an effort to shame you into either silence or capitulation. He is going to accuse you of being what, in essence, he is. Any rebuttal you give, he responds with, "That's abuse." It is almost robotic. And as I've said, very, very anti-Christian and unbecoming of a man to to clutch pearls like this over everything. And he does stuff like what was the one? They say respect my beliefs because uh my beliefs they said respect my beliefs because abusers use beliefs to control you. Who are they trying to control? The one that oop, it's an insult to my faith that you don't let me control your beliefs. Abusers call boundaries insulting. The interesting thing here is he's describing himself. But he says, "Were you called disrespectful after standing up to a religious abuser? You were awesome for defending yourself from their abuse. They will blame you. Abusers never take accountability. He never does for their behavior. But we see you and helps really help you celebrate your healthy boundaries. Ex-evangelical, right there." And so I responded to it. It is a walking. He is a walking um professional, walking and talking professional victim. And so you see people like that. Don't let folks shame you for having guardrails. Don't let folks shame you for having doctrine. Don't let folks try to silence you or make you out to be the bad guy. Or let them make you feel like you're the bad guy because you believe in the word. The man openly says things like, you know, you don't need the Bible. God, you just talk to Jesus yourself. The effort there is to isolate you from the Bible, isolate you from your church and your congregation, separate you and make it easier for you to be swayed. That's the attempt there. That's the real abuse. And sure, yeah, are there people who take advantage of their position in churches? Yeah. Yeah, we see it all the time. No different than anywhere else. And that's not whataboutism. That's just that's just saying, look, we are uh we are a community of people, and you will have bad actors in every role and institution in society. Now, do we need to be, does the church need to be the best at controlling it? Yes. Have we failed in that? Many times. But that doesn't mean the faith is bad. That doesn't mean the Bible is bad. That means the people are bad. And that means that we have um sometimes tolerated that when we shouldn't have. Sometimes we've been fooled by it. And sometimes people have been hurt. That's why there's punishment. Maybe he doesn't realize this, but it says this in the Bible. There is punishment for folks who behave that way. There is scripture that addresses it. And these folks have seen this, and it's they use the excuse, they use that as the reason for them to go out and just do the things that they want to do. Now, if you talk to that guy, he's affirming in all sorts of sin. It's very, very Unitarian in his beliefs. which is not a Christian thing. Hey, yeah, good news. My mom's, this is just a shout out. My mom's best friend, her, she is a widow. Her husband, who is now deceased, his nephew, just made the 53-man roster for the Seattle Seahawks. Not bad. I don't follow NFL anymore, but good for him. For him, number 63, Laumea. He's Samoan, by the way. If you didn't pick up on that, but good for him. A quick shout out. Send me a text. Um, yeah, cool. Let me. But that enough about him. And the other thing that I was getting into it on Instagram about was that's my normal back and forth yakking with the Catholics, who I love. I don't want to get that um get that confused. Um, the Catholics who I love, but it's the constant, why do people ex Catholics are this and ex Catholics are that and all this other stuff, and then tell them it's like, dude, you got it. I don't know. Some realize it, and some think that needs to be fixed. I think it needs to be fixed before you can go out and start trying to tell Protestants they're wrong or tell the Orthodoxy they're wrong. It shouldn't preclude them from going out and trying to spread the gospel and grow the kingdom, right? But before you start trying to pick off from other um, denominations, you need to understand that there's a lot of problems in the Catholic Church right now, and a lot of it is the fact that they don't catechize. It doesn't seem like they catechize folks well across the board because they don't seem to um, hold folks accountable for their beliefs in the public sphere. And we see that with um, politicians who claim that they're Catholics and yet support things like gay marriage and abortion. The Catholic Church is supposed to be the biggest um, fighters for the unborn. And yet, we have folks running on a platform that this is for a federal elected position for the most powerful nation in the world, openly running as a Catholic, supporting these things. The Catholic Church knows that's what they're doing, but they are not censured for their behavior. They are not disciplined for what they do. We don't hear about it we don't hear the Catholic Church going, no, you're not going to sit there and claim us. Oh, no, thanks, Matt. I appreciate that. But wife's putting him to bed. I said goodnight to him already, but appreciate that. Um, what the Catholic Church should be doing is saying, no, you're not going to run on a platform and claim us while you're also running on a platform for things that we stand specifically against. Stop it, or there will be consequences. You will be excommunicated. You will be denied communion. We will just come out and say, no, the Catholic Church does not share their beliefs. They are not in communion with the Catholic Church right now because of this. They need to be open and vocal about that. Catholics need an inquisition. Thank you, Nernath. This is to help them. But you can't even do that if you're not holding your own priests accountable. Now we can talk about the sexual scandals that have gone on, and we all know that it's a misrepresentation, that it happens, of course, and it should be taken very seriously by the church. And I don't think they take it seriously. Now, I think some of them do, but it seems like the big wigs up at the Vatican, the cardinals and the Pope, don't take it seriously enough. But they need to understand that they are the largest Christian denomination on the planet. They have got a huge target on their back. They need to act like it. And they need to understand that they do a lot, a lot of what their actions are reflect upon the faith in general. So when they don't take that as seriously as they should, they don't handle it very well, there need to be some repercussions. Because when they don't do that, people are going to think that we are tolerant of it. They're going to think that that's the norm, even though it happens more often outside of the church. That you are more at risk outside of the church. Media doesn't care about that. They only care about us because they're not worried about what's going on there. They're all into the world. They want to bring down the church. But even when your own priests are okay with abortion and you don't censure them, when your own priests are okay and actually advocating for homosexual relationships and for the church to be okay with it, without censure, it looks like tolerance. And let's say it feels like they're it feels like they're tolerant of it. It feels like many in the Vatican are just biding their time until they can just be okay with it. It feels like in the next 20 years, we're going to see uh, the Vatican become affirm both of those, both abortion and homosexual marriage. But it will start probably before that with women priests. That's my fear. I don't want it to come true. That's my prediction. I want to be wrong. I want a great pope to come into I want a great pope to rise up and hold Catholics, the laity's feet to the fire on things. Because it's not because again, and it's not just the politicians, and it's not just the clergy. It starts with the clergy because they're supposed to be the ones watching over people. They're supposed to be the ones teaching and shepherding. It starts with them. But then you make examples out of people who are publicly against it, against the church, and yet claiming to be part of it. But then you also talk to you have to say, look, you guys got to decide. You're not just going to be a C&E Catholic, like a C&E Christian. It's not just showing up when the Pope makes a visit, or it's Christian if it's Christmas or Easter. There's more to the faith than that. There's more to the faith than just confession. There is actual faith. And look, the Catholics are supposed to be the ones that are big on works, right? There needs to be a united front from them holding folks accountable. If that's that's what that's what the brag is, right? From the orthos and um the orthos and the Catholics. So we've got, first it's we've got the apostolic succession and the first, the papacy, and Peter was the first pope, and all. Buy that if or not. Buy that if you will. That's not the argument here. But the other thing is that no, we don't compromise on these issues. We stand for these issues and we don't compromise on them. And yet we see you guys tolerate folks instead of disciplining them. And it doesn't have to be public for the average layperson, right? That doesn't need to. It doesn't need to be. Um, it doesn't need to be a public display. But for the people who are open about it and the people who flaunt it, yeah, yeah. Look, you would be surprised how many people will respect you for standing on the principles that you're set your foundations on. Because we're not calling for beatings, executions, not talking about pillory. In fact, I was just saying we should not making public displays on these most of the time. All we're saying is if you're going to claim to be part of this church, if you're going to be claimed to be following Christ, if you're going to claim the faith, you got to fall within these ideas. You got to fall within this theology. You got to fall within this doctrine. You got to be within these guardrails. And if you don't stand for what we stand for, if you don't stand for what God stands for, you don't stand with us at all. And this is me as a non-denominational Christian. This is me as a non-denominational Christian who thinks that road is a lot wider than other people do. Where the path to God can include Catholics and Calvinists alike. Regardless of your the side of iconoclasm or baptism. That it's a little bit better for us to turn back and return to the simpler, maybe more childlike understanding of things like, well, I just need to be baptized. That's actually a bigger conversation there. But I need to take communion, and there's a specific state of mind I need to be in. There's a specific thing that I'm supposed to have in my brain about it. Have my soul. I don't agree with a lot of things um, that the Catholic Church does. But I do believe the good Catholics are getting, or say good. The word good has a very rough meaning uh, in there. But diligent, earnest Catholics are getting into heaven. Just like I think diligent and earnest Calvinists are getting into heaven. I hate seeing them. I hate seeing Christians at each other's throats on more esoteric metaphysical arguments when we all have got more real problems to deal with. So, how's everybody doing? Carl, I know and love, is first here in the chat about over half an hour ago. Alex Moore, me, joying me. Hear the sarcasm dripping from his comments. Nernaeth, who identifies as a saint. Saint Nernaeth, Nirnith. Veritex, evening, another load from the house. And somehow missed private school apparel because, of course, we were hanging it in the one closet I have never hung clothes in. Only coats. Well. It's okay. Grace. Give yourself grace. It's good. It's just like the Johnny Cash song, one piece at a time. Oh, this is costing you more than a dime, probably. You almost exceed your limit on chats. You are limitless on chats, Carl. Don't limit God, and don't limit your chats. Perfect attendance. He's putting an asterisk on my record. Veritex putting a asterisk on me like I'm Barry Bonds. Oh, good one. Thad said, how did time pass so fast that I'm 10 minutes late? It's not unusual to have fun. It's not unusual. Good seeing you, Serranos. Veritex, odds are this person has never read the Bible cover to cover with a mind open enough to absorb it. I'm sure his mind is open enough for the brain to fall right out of it, as the joke goes. However, a lot of organized religion is stuck in stage 3, stuck on propositions via repetition and growth inhibited because of it. Yeah, but that's not what he's. But you see, that's not what he's attacking. That's not what he's attacking. It's one thing to say that, hey, we need to watch out for wolves who preach false doctrine, who do this other stuff. His problem is with even the Bible itself. And Jesus, like he said, Jesus doesn't judge. Because he said it. So he specifically says the opposite. We need to go back to the Gospel of John. Ooh. Softball. By the way, guys, again, softball season starts next Thursday. Pearls before swine. Yeah, exactly, Thad. I don't even know why I do it. Catholics, though, going back to Nernath earlier, Catholics need an Inquisition. Then they can crusade. The Latins are better than Catholic. The traditional Latin Mass. Vertex said, the moment someone tries to tell you that they got the corner on truth, though, and I have to watch this one, we all do, odds are they don't have anything beyond that one thing. We all have to watch ourselves on that Veritex. But there is something to be said for, hey, this is what we're hanging our hat on. That's why I'm not as worried about who's got the corner on it, but we do have, again, the guardrails. I always talk about the guardrails. There do need to be guardrails. Hernandez said, the Inquisition is supposed to do that. The Catholics have forgotten that we are supposed to be the instruments of God's will to effect change in the world. Yeah. Serrano says, it's funny how there are Christmas and Easter people. I'm genuinely less likely to go on those days because I'm usually prepping for time with family. Football starts this weekend, so I guess we're at an impasse. That's when a lot of times, that's when the CNEs definitely don't show up. Football Sundays. Which is weird because you can go to church and then go watch the game. Our latest service releases at 12. That still gives me an hour to get home and get settled in, get a meal, start eating for a 1 o'clock game. The fact that turkey still exists is a blight on Catholicism. Not Thanksgiving turkey. We're talking about Turkey, the nation. Latin people. Well, Latin people. The Latin people are mostly Catholic. Though apparently the evangelical movement has been making great strides in there. But again, that's, are we growing the kingdom or are we not? Evangelicals got their big problems too. All right. Well, with that said, and all that gotten out of the way, let me what's going on, Jenny? Jenny pops in at the best time, gets through all my ranting and raving. And then right here, right when we're getting ready to get into the Proverbs. So we'll get back on our normal schedule here. We'll go through 18, 19, and 20. Proverbs 17, verse 18. A man lacking in common sense gives a pledge and becomes guarantor for the debt of another in the presence of his neighbor. One who has no, so the nib says, the nib says, one who has no sense shakes hands in pledge and puts up security for a neighbor. Well, now, I guess it's telling you not to co-sign. I think that this is, this is a warning to speak for something that you're not sure can be, I'm sorry, that you can guarantee on behalf of somebody whom you do not know whether they can fulfill that promise. You're putting your word against an unknown. And it's not like David running into battle with the faith of God, that God is going to watch over him. No, this is you putting your word, your reputation, your finances on the table to vouch for somebody else doing something. That ought to not be taken lightly at all. And I think this is basically saying you probably want to avoid it whenever possible. Foolish promises, I think it goes a little further than that, though, Nernath, because it doesn't talk about the pledge being foolish. It says the person is foolish for doing the pledge. So I think it's why I'm trying to warn. It's one thing if you know it's a sure thing. If you are going to be right there with that guy, and you're going to help him through things, maybe, right? It took it was a graduation from high school gift from my dad to co-sign on a loan for me for a car. And he is, don't co-sign for anyone for any reason. And I had already put up half of my signing bonus, or no, the entirety of my signing bonus in the army. Wait, yeah, the entirety of my signing bonus into that loan. He was co-signing for half of it, for half of it. But don't do it, right? And because this can also create a rift in friendships. This is a stress often. It's a blanket statement. It's not always the case, but it's a very good rule of thumb. Don't do it. He who loves transgression loves strife and is quarrelsome. He who proudly raises his gate seeks destruction because of his arrogant pride. That's us. That's the US Congress, Stu. It is. It is passing spending bills that we the people are indebted to. No, I take that back. That's different. That's somebody going, that's somebody racking up a tab on us. Be like, nope, we're spending this money. They'll pay for it. Always give people stuff I can. Promising something you may not have is not a good idea generally. That's true. A charity, freely, give freely and cheer and with cheer. Don't promise something you would be sad to lose. Hmm. Also, Serranos, college football started last weekend. By the way. But this weekend is first week for Notre Dame football. Woohoo! Playing Texas A&M. All right. So the transgression. Whoever loves quarrel loves sin. Whoever builds a high gate whoever builds a high gate invites destruction. I don't know why these are paired together in the same verse. Not that I disagree with it or either with them. I'm just confused. He who loves transgression loves strife and is quarrelsome. Yeah. Yeah, if you like evil things, if you like some evil things, you're probably going to like other evil things. If you love discord, you might be right, Veritex. In fact, you're probably right, Veritex. I'm sure there is a verse suggesting to give other than lend. But again, at this point, right? Still going off of Mosaic law, Levitical law, or whatever. Even when you lend, there's a forgiveness period. There's a window where there is forgiveness. Humility is the Tuesday between them. Is that a typo? Oh, is that autocorrect there, Matt? Humility is the tie between them. Um, there is no humility in transgression. Anger is Monday. Strife is Monday. Strife is Monday. All right, Matt, then, if you don't mind, um, start me on that path on how humility is the tie between them. And I will see if I can run with that. Transgressions are bold and boisterous. Okay, yeah. Okay, I got that. Strife is um transgressors. Okay. Well, the actors, both bold and boisterous, lacking in disharmony, strife, those things are but that boldness and open, I guess the pride and openly after pride and openly what do I want to say? How do I want to say this? Pride and openly sinning, openly doing evil. Yeah. Yeah, I can see lack of humility, right? And obviously lack of humility for the high gates, basically look basically asking and inviting somebody to come in and um, destroy them because of his arrogant pride. There it is, right there in the amplified. Because of his arrogant pride. There it is. The lack of humility. That one just doesn't flow well for most, as far as a lot of other proverbs do. It's just one of those ones that just comes off a little bit awkward. Bigger gates, harder to defend. Jenny says after 1.5 years, wait, hold on. Let's go back to that wasn't the first. Well, Jenny says, I've co-signed for a close family member, I'm assuming, who is responsible. Her ex took everything. And after 1.5 years, she made on-time payments and refinanced in her own name. What I think, though, when you got into that co-signing, Jenny, is you were prepared. You were prepared to step in, right? You had the understanding and the expectation that if for some reason she fell short on things, that you were going to step in and handle that for her, and that you would do that uh, with love and charity. And this kind of and by which is me. I'm not trying to say this is not me trying to justify it, like come up with excuses. This is me just trying to put in put in the words how our system works of economics works versus the system at the time. Her ex took everything. Okay. So she's probably, and her credit likely shot. Maybe she's going through bankruptcy. Something like that's going on. You're giving her the chance and divorce, that kind of thing. Maybe there's a confidence issue. I don't know all the details. But what you're doing at this point is the charity of allowing her to start providing for herself, um, and building up that confidence, building up her own credit, making those payments. But if the bottom was to open up, or if the ground was supposed to open up underneath of her, you were going to step in and take care of things. And our society, unfortunately, is somewhat different in that is that someone would some family would and well, you said it was a family member. Okay, you're coming in there to help her out and help pick her up and stand her up on her own 2 feet, as opposed to, you know, just some friend who wants something or has a business deal that needs to be done or whatever. Left her with kids in the bill. This is a necessity. This is a necessity. And unfortunately, we are an economy based on debt. Oh yeah. Well, she's a nurse. Yeah, she should be fine. Plus, that's a there's always work for nurses. Nurses never hurting for jobs. Um, so yeah, and there's always more shifts to put at work to. There's always more shifts to take. The problem is childcare in that instance. So I don't think that's what um Proverbs 16 no Proverbs 18 is talking about, because what you're doing is not, just a business deal or anything. What you're doing is actually charitable. I've got this back here to use if you need it, but we're going to let you try to get it on your own. Think that's not the same spirit of what we're seeing in 18, right? So I think that what you did is good, right? And that's kind of why I said this is this kind of comes over as a blanket. There seems to be exceptions to that. I mean, hell, look, pardon my language. Uh, Jesus took our debts on the cross with him and paid that in full. Knowing that we couldn't pay for that. There was no way we were going to be able to meet the um, terms of that deal and that covenant. Even though we were perfectly capable of it, we weren't going to do it. God made that bargain anyway. You're not way off, Jenny. You're good. All right, let's wrap it up with this last one. He who has a crooked mind finds no good, and he who is perverted in his language falls into evil. He who has a crooked mind finds no good, and he who is perverted in his language falls into evil. I guess I need to watch my mouth. What's the Niv say on this? Same thing, basically. One whose heart is corrupt does not prosper. One whose tongue is perverse falls into trouble. Watch what you say. And I don't think this is necessarily about, curse words or whatnot. But do you speak evil? He who is black pilled is always depressed. Always be Christ pilled, folks. Don't ever be black pilled or red pilled, white pilled, blue pilled. None of that. Be Christ pilled. He who has a crooked mind finds no good. Well, yeah. If you have a mind for evil, a person who has a mind for evil is not going to find goodness. That's not what they're looking for. That's not what they want. Usually, when they do find goodness, that's usually the turning point when it really just occurs to them. There's folks who live in a life of evil and wickedness, and they have that moment, that epiphany, that come to Jesus moment, that significant emotional event, and they turn. That's when that happens. You can call that divine intervention, but you're not going to get there on your own. You're not going to go in there. You're not going to save yourself with a mind full of evil. And it's even difficult. It's even difficult for folks around you to give you good things to see, to give you something wholesome to wrap your mind around, to set your life to. If you've been that person, or if you've been one of those people trying to help, you know what I mean. Some people, they've just got a mind to do the wrong thing all the time. And they don't, and when you give them the good news, they don't see it. He is perverted and his language falls into evil. Yeah. You speak things, you say things. It's not, a lot of people say it's not just it's not what you say, it's what you do. It's a little bit of what you say too. We were just talking about folks who represent the faith for the Catholic Church. That goes across the board for all of us, right? It's just they're supposed to have the more discipline. They've got that big monolithic um, bureaucracy to hold folks accountable, whereas Protestants less so, but they still have church discipline and stuff like that. We're supposed to represent Jesus. And so what we say should be a reflection of that. When we don't, what do we do? Fall into evil. And Matt, yeah, some of it I've changed, but I've still got a really dark sense of humor. I don't know how to change that. Just maybe start avoiding uh, partaking in it. That's probably a good place to start. Because I can't determine what part of dark humor is the dark humor I find funny or I imbibe in is okay and which is not. And so again, what do I say? Best to err on the side of caution. Let's knock it out entirely. All right. Well, dark humor is good, or no dark humor is good. Is this the place where no comma is supposed to be here, or there is supposed to be a comma here? No, grandma. No, no, we already ate grandma. Or no, we already ate grandma. um, yeah. All right, so that'll wrap up the show for tonight. Tomorrow night I'm gonna try to be better about setting the stream up. Should start on time. But soccer practice, it runs until 8, so there's a lot of moving parts. But I'll try to set the stream up so I'm not rushing around. Um, Stalin, that's the communist joke. Dark humor is like food. So not everyone gets it. That's what it is. Dark humor is like food. Not everyone gets it. Dark humor is part of embracing the suck, or what medieval leeches drained. Dark humors. All right. So Nernaeth, Thad, Jenny, Matt Felty, Veritax, Serranos, Carl, Coral, Alex Moore, and that is the crew tonight. Thank you guys for being part of the chat. Thank you for your hellos. Thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for sharing life experiences. Thank you for your jokes. Thank you for it all. On behalf of the show, on behalf of me, hopefully God agrees as well. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for everybody who is listening and not part of not partaking in the chat, look, I'd love you to be there, but I understand. And I'm just happy that you are finding a place that you want to tune into and listen to, and then you come back. Awesome. Like the show. If you like the show, subscribe if you haven't already and you want to see more. Share with other folks to support the show. That's all I ask. I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for any of that. Just ask for shares, right? Because the grift is for souls. To everybody who is catching this show on replay, thank you for watching. Sorry I missed you. I hope to catch you live sometime soon. Everybody have a good night and God bless.